Oh.
Hey, Facebook.
Play that music. Oh.
We need to get to the chorus. Hi, guys.
Uh-huh.
I don't even want to do a live. Let's just do this. Oh, hi, guys. I needed that.
Wait, what? You turned off the music. I was shimmying.
We're going to get kicked off. This is copyrighted. We're rebels. Okay. Hello, the world. I was going to say hello, America, but this is not only America. What's up? Welcome to Q&A Tuesday. Woo! Felt that. I needed that. I don't feel very good today. Blame it on the jet lag. Oh,
but isn't she beautiful?
Isn't she enough? Oh, your hands are cold. They feel so good. Okay, let's just stay like this for a second. Hi, you guys. This is Jordan Page from BungeeForFree.com and BudgetBootcamp.com. And this is my handsome husband.
Hi, I'm Bubba Page.
He's more energetic than me tonight, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, but I like it.
I'm feeling it.
Kelly Clarkson gets us in the mood. That one's skewampus because we just broke the tripod.
Sorry, we broke the tripod.
We are live right now on Facebook and Instagram, and we are recording for YouTube. Every Tuesday we sit down, and I don't know why.
Q&A Tuesday.
I don't know why anybody cares.
That was the rhyme, the jingle jangle,
Dingle hopper,
berry,
dingle berry. Anyway, we sit down and we answer all your questions from social media, and sometimes they're random, but a lot of times we try to stick with what we know best, which my blog is about budgeting and finance and frugal living, but then of course there's a lot of lifestyle stuff going on in there too. This is driving me nuts. Sorry, Instagram.
Angled. I'm going to get that over to you more.
Nose check. I probably should have done that before we went live. And tonight, we looked at all of your questions on social media, and we saw a trend, well, a couple of questions, but we're going to go with it because we're excited about it. Today, we're going to talk about...
I guess this means your turn. Cheap travel secrets. Or traveling secrets and hacks and travel.
Yes. Yeah. So we just got back from Thailand, hence the dark circles, and you can probably smell the curry through the screen.
Jet lag.
Right now. We are so jet
for
lagged.
reals.
And this is my thought behind it anyway. I think Bubba can concur. But I know how it feels. I know how it feels because we've been there to look on... Instagram didn't exist a couple years ago, but like to look on social media. For me, it was Facebook at the time. And look at everybody's lives and be like, how do they have a new car? How can they afford to have so many kids? How can they afford to be at Disneyland again or on vacation or whatever it is? And sometimes it feels disheartening because you think it's so out of reach for you. And sometimes you might even find yourself resenting or being jealous of those people or finding reasons to hate them. I get it. I get it. But here's why we love what we do. So we have been through our FD, which is our financial disaster, and we have been on an inconsistent self-employed income our entire married lives.
Crazy entrepreneurs.
Hashtag nuts. And we have been in debt, a lot of debt at some points, and we have been through the scary months, and now we're at the point where we learned a bunch of tips and tricks for managing our dollars, not necessarily even needing to like make more, but more so just managing what we had, because our income, like I said, was like this. It's not like we were always on this constant climb, but now we're at a position where we're on phase 2 of that, where we've reached all of our financial goals and our debt is paid off except for our house, but we're almost there too.
Close.
And now we're enjoying things like travel, but my heart is very compassionate toward people who are maybe still in phase 1. So we're going to sit here.
We feel you.
We feel you. So what we're going to do
There's a space right here.
Yeah, right? Like, not so much here, but like here. And we are going to sit down and we're going to tell you that it is possible.
You can do it.
You can do it. You don't even have to necessarily be all the way debt free. You don't have to pay off your house. You don't have to make 6 figures. You don't have to have this amazing dream life before you travel. You can travel right now. In fact, the year after we got out of debt, when we were spending like next to nothing, we actually traveled a ton.
But we were scrappy as all get out.
So since we just got back from Thailand, travel's on the brain. We've had a decade of practice through feast or famine, and travel has always been fun and important to us. So we're going to just hit it. And then quit it because I want to go to bed. So let us start at the very beginning.
These just like shoulders just can't stop moving. It's just...
I haven't even been moving. You and April were hilarious jumping into that pool. Oh yeah, so you guys were watching. Okay, and I will tell you, I recorded everything about Thailand. I'm not good at posting pictures, but I took a lot of video and I will put vlogs up on YouTube. So if any of you are curious about our trip and whether you think Thailand would be fun for you, that will go up.
And maybe something on Facebook. Some video would go on there, maybe.
This one. Okay, so let's start with this. Let's start now and work backwards. We're going to talk about Thailand really quick and tell you guys how we were able to afford it, how we got a crazy deal on it, and then we'll kind of work backwards and talk about how we were even able to travel when we had like very little money to play with.
Can I just jump in with one amazing trick?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys have all taken flights before, and you've probably heard over the loudspeaker, and you can't understand. No, when they're saying, hey, we've oversold our flight, and we need some volunteers.
In the airport.
Oh, sorry, in the airport before you are boarding your flight. You might hear someone, announce, we've oversold our flight, and we are looking for some volunteers. If anyone could volunteer...
Bubba's gone.
I was already
There is dust. Like, he still has a butt mark in his seat.
That's me.
He's gone. Yeah. He is all the way to the counter.
And I'm sprinting to the counter. And even better is when you check in, go ahead and go up to the little countertop and say, hey, if you guys need any volunteers to take over some seats, or to give up our seats, let me be first on your list.
We did that on our honeymoon. It was kind of our first time traveling as like grown-ups, And on our honeymoon, we only had to be delayed 2 hours, and we got
$300 a piece.
No.
$400 a piece?
We got round-trip tickets back to Hawaii.
Oh,
because his parents used their timeshare and credit card points to send us to Hawaii for our honeymoon, which was very generous.
Thank you, parents.
Yes, and so that's like our number one thing is sometimes you can't be flexible, but a lot of times it's not that big of a layover. Whoever's supposed to pick us up from the airport, what's an extra hour or two, Yeah. So this time it would have been $600 a piece.
No, $300. In Hawaii, but this time
in Thailand it would have been $300 a piece.
So we were just coming home from LA to Salt Lake. That's all it was, and they were going to give us $300 per person to volunteer our seats and just take the next flight, which was in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I ran up there, and they only had one seat left, and I didn't want to leave her behind.
You know what, though? It was only from LA. We totally should have. It's $300.
That's true.
I didn't know
that's $600. Well, it would have been $300.
But anyway, we have several vouchers. Yeah, that's tip number one. Little out of order, but there you go. There's a good, hard tip. A lot of you are asking about my coat, my sweater. It's actually making me sweat in all sorts of places right now. It's from Africa. Haven't been to Africa, but... I don't remember where it's from.
It's from a tribe.
Costco.
It's from a tribe down. I'm just kidding.
Whatever. Anyway, so that's a great tip. Okay, so let me then launch into Thailand and
I threw you off.
What?
No, go for it. I threw you off a little bit.
No, that's okay. Tips are good. Let's talk about Thailand. Okay, so I explained this on Instagram, but our Thailand trip we bought through a company called Gate One. This is not sponsored. # not sponsored. GATE with a number 1. So we have never in our lives previously, besides last year, bought a package vacation before. Like Groupon Travel or Travel Zoo, where it includes like flights and everything. And so we were like, no, that can't, there's got to be a catch. They're probably scuzzy hotels or these terrible flights on airlines you've never heard of where you have to like tie your own buckle, who knows. But last year we wanted to go on a trip with some friends, and it was very complicated trying to plan a group trip with friends.
Super hard.
It is so hard because everyone has different opinions, and it's a country that no one's ever been to.
You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
And be like, your idea is stupid, never want to do that. It's a little tense. And some people might want to splurge on something that we don't. So what we did is we picked a location which last year was Italy, and then this year was Thailand. And on Gate 1, they have all of these Italy packages they go by days. So there's like 7 days, same with Thailand, 7 day, 8 day, 9 day, 14 day. And then it has a price next to it. And what you see is what you get all in.
Pretty dang amazing.
Flights, hotels, taxes, fees, transportation, breakfast, whatever. Read the fine print because actually there are some that are not guided tours or that you have to buy all your own meals,
Read
whatever.
the details. Be a smart traveler.
Yeah. So wow.
Yeah, somebody
$800 per person?
And Chase.
Wow.
$800 per
That's
person.
the most I've ever heard of before. So anyway, so we originally started with Italy. Best thing ever. Italy was $2,200, which is a lot for Gate 1. It's one of their more expensive packages. But we did the math, and it was cheaper than we would have been able to do in Italy for the hotels we stayed at, the museums we went to, the transportation and flights and everything. So we were very happy with that.
And I think you can be anywhere in the world and use them as a travel people.
Yeah.
So it's not just America.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And then Thailand. So we actually picked Thailand while we were in Italy because we enjoyed it so much. We're like, wow, these packages, like I'm sold on this. The transportation was really nice. We had a local tour guide that was from Rome and spoke incredible English. He was with us the whole week. We never even had to touch our luggage. And it wasn't like a bunch of 90-year-old people where we were moving at a snail's pace. In fact,
Which is totally what we expected to be on like a group tour.
Yeah, and there are older people, but
nothing wrong with that.
We were having trouble keeping up. I felt like we were late everywhere we went because they were just like, it's a very physical tour. And then, so it was $2,200 for Italy, and that was 10 days. 3 cities? 4? 3 cities.
3 cities.
And then while we were there, we picked Thailand, which was it was $1,200, but then we found a coupon code that brought it down to $1,050 per person. All
9 days. Flights, hotels, some of the food, amazing.
All the breakfasts. Anyway, so now we've decided from here on out that if we're going to go to a country we've never been to before, or a country that someone we know doesn't live there, like we know someone who lives in Iceland, we know someone who lived in Dublin, so we probably wouldn't do a tour there. But anywhere we haven't been, we're going to do a package like that.
And some people are asking about travel agents, and so we've used a travel agent once before.
Europe, yeah, saved us a ton of money actually.
It saved a ton, and there's. I think people have skewed perceptions on some of the travel agents. I think back in the day, it used to be really expensive to use travel agents, at least from what we've heard.
I think that's actually a misconception.
Well, but nowadays, so much technology is about they get paid, like you're not paying the travel agent, they're getting paid like on the back end from other deals. But they're able to do group volume things, and so I felt like it was a pretty good deal.
So my favorite travel agency that I work with that's not like a package is Getaway Today. They're the ones that they always sell the discounted Disney tickets. Alicia, if you're on here, I have a coupon code that I will post. I will post it in the description below, and I'll try to remember to post it here because it gives you a discount. But I've worked with them really closely on things. The only time they ever charge you Getaway Today. The only time they ever charge you a fee, this is travel agents all over, or should be. If someone's charging you, it's a janky travel agent. Is if they book flights, plane tickets through you. There's like a $50 per ticket fee because they don't get any kickback, nothing, and it takes some time to do that. So that's the only time you pay out of pocket to a travel agent. Otherwise, you pay nothing extra. The catch is that they are more inclined to direct you to certain hotels.
Where they get paid more.
But guess what? We booked our trip. So we had a friend who was living in Dublin for a year. And we were like, this is our chance. We haven't done like a grown-up vacation since our honeymoon. Thanks, Tiff. Let's go. This will be so fun. And we had Davey, who was 3 months old at the time, that we took with us. And we booked the trip on our own. The flights we booked, and then we were like booking hotels and all this stuff. And it started getting really complicated. And then someone suggested, my mom actually.
So many details.
Yeah, I started getting way stressed out. So she said, call a travel agent. Here you go. Here's a number. So I did. And she saved us $1,500 right off the top because she's like, oh, I have a better hop on, hop off tour price for you because I'm a travel agent. Oh, this hotel is nicer and it's cheaper and it's closer to this. And oh, if you have a baby, you don't want this hotel because you can't get a stroller into it. All these things that I never would have known. So yeah, using a travel agent is a really good
So I think people are bringing up some good concepts here where it's like, well, geez, if we're so budget constrained or restricted or so budget conscious, how can we feel okay spending money on traveling? And I know that especially as we were going through our FD, it was really important for us to make sure we were paying off our debt, right? And making sure that we had those things. So our travel when we were in our FD...
Pause. Hold that thought. Okay, ready, go.
Nice pause. So I think during our FD, the only way that we traveled was typically to visit family, where we were driving somewhere, or we got it paid for, like our free round trip tickets to go back to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Some of the other tips and tricks that we used during our FD, our financial disaster, was, and I know you're probably going to hate us for saying this. You're probably going to hate us for saying this. And it like hurts our souls to go to these things.
Oh.
But
yeah. We don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it, but so I'm giving you our experience.
They used to be okay, but go, I'm not going to interrupt you.
We went to some timeshare presentations because when we went to timeshare presentations, we got like free 3-day stay.
We got full
free like
excursions
and free this, free that.
Yeah.
So we went to Hawaii on our 1-year anniversary. We didn't pay for the flights because we did our vouchers for giving up our seats one time. We didn't pay for the hotel because we got it gifted to us by one of the timeshare presentations. Mm-hmm. We didn't pay to go swim with the sharks because we did another timeshare presentation.
It took a lot of time on our trip.
It did.
Every day we did an hour-and-a-half presentation, but that's how we paid
and it was
for all of the activity. And it was the worst, and I was like, we're never doing that again. But that's how we
there are ways.
To go to Hawaii.
I'm just saying, there are ways to be scrappy and to still do some of that travel, even if you're super budget constrained or conscious. And just know we're telling you up front, they're horrible.
We actually don't recommend them anymore. We did one recently, and you know what?
They're not as good.
They're not anymore. They're scams now. They used to be a lot better.
And if you don't have the ability to say no 5,000 times,
don't go.
Don't go because you will walk away with something you don't want.
I know, so that's hard advice because that's how we did it back during our FD. So
we're saying timeshares are not worth it.
Well, but let's say some tips they could do now that are kind of the same idea. So,
but it's good to know, like spending money on a timeshare because you're investing in your vacations.
Yeah, they're brutal.
We say
I cried.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Steph, I'm with you.
There are other ways you can travel without using a timeshare, and you can plan it and schedule it out.
Such as, and there's a lot of questions about Costco packages. I have not used one personally, which is why I'm not answering. I love Costco. I don't think they're the cheapest. Gate 1 has been the cheapest and highest quality. Getaway Today, I trust with my heart and soul. So I haven't done Costco because they're not super cheap, but I imagine their quality is very nice. So I don't know. Anyone who has, will you chime in? I have not used one personally. Okay, a tip for something you can do now instead of timeshare presentations is credit card points. But let me clarify very vehemently. We recommend very firmly not to get credit cards that give you flight miles as benefits. They are a ripoff 99% of the time. They're very restricted. Once in a while, you can get a nice card and Platinum 1 are those the ones that are pretty good about traveling. But guess what? You might not need the money for flights. You might be able to get free vouchers because Bubba was on a plane that broke. And he had to get off and miss his flight and whatever, so they gave him vouchers. So then what? You have all these credit card points. You're like, well, I don't need a flight. Always get a credit card that gives you cash back so you can use it for whatever you want. Now, if you're in a financial crisis, credit cards are tough. If you're in a financial crisis, right now is not the time to travel. We really did not travel when we were in debt and getting out of debt. It was once we were out of it. And even then, we had a really tight budget. And if we couldn't make it work within our budget, we just didn't. Or, like he said, we would road trip a lot. We would drive to Arizona. We'd drive to Southern California.
And it was mostly to visit family, so we were staying with family. We were eating with family. It was very inexpensive.
Not always. I mean, sometimes it's like, anyway, actually, we'll talk about VRBOs and Airbnbs. Will you cover that in a second? That's like a really, but we found certain things, like one time we got vouchers because we were on a plane that got canceled or something, and we were with some of our kids, so our kids had vouchers too. And one recommendation is flight vouchers expire. So we actually will put it in our calendars 3 months. Remember my rule of threes for anyone who's in my Pinners class? 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 hours. Okay, so this is a 3-month rule. Put it on your calendar 3 months ahead of time before it expires, reminding you. So we did that, but we only had 1 month before it expired. And we're like, oh crap, we have like $200 a person or $300 a person on these flight vouchers. What are we going to do? And we said, okay, we need a last minute vacation that's way cheap. And guess what gets cheaper the more last minute it is?
Cruises.
the more last minute you are with cruises, the cheaper it is. Like if you live or can drive to Long Beach, where's the Texas port? What's it called?
I can't remember.
Galveston or Miami or Fort Lauderdale. If you are within driving distance of any of those places and you want to do a trip and you want to do it cheap, within a month, book yourself a cruise and you can get it. We went on a cruise and it was like $300 each for me and Bubba and like $100 for our kids. It was dirt freaking cheap. And then we had our flight vouchers, so we were able to travel for next to nothing.
We travel cheap. There's somebody following. That's
yeah.
awesome. They probably got some good tips.
So in terms of like, sorry, we're out of order here. We're just kind of jumping all over the place going by your comments. I hope that's okay. But Bubba, why don't you talk about Airbnb and VRBO real quick and just kind of the benefits of those versus booking a hotel? And then we'll talk about
I think
kids.
sometimes you can find better deals if you're looking at somebody else's house that they're renting as a rental versus the hotels that have all of their upkeep and costs and all that kind of stuff going on. Now, sometimes you can find really good deals on hotels as well. You just got to do your searches. So there are certain websites that you can use like Priceline or Kayak and what are some other online that you can like compare
for hotels? Yeah,
you can compare hotels just to see.
One, we actually now, instead of going specifically to Priceline, we Google it because Google pulls up the prices for all of them and makes you a list based on best price.
Pretty amazing.
So
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, so when we were in Miami for our last cruise, we typed in hotels, cheap or last minute hotels near Miami Port, and Google actually priced out all of those websites.
And it was pretty cool because they had so many reviews. Google also is Google Flights. So it's Google.
Oh, hold on, you're getting off tangent.
Oh, okay. That's another.
Stay with VRBO.
So
and then we'll
VRBOs and Airbnbs. So long as you're finding something with a reputable rating and review, so that
read the reviews.
Yeah, read the reviews because it's all consumer based, driven by reviews. You might be able to find something that has more space, that has a kitchen, so that you can cook meals instead of going out on every meal, which can save you a ton of money when you're traveling.
Well, what's the difference between VRBO and Airbnb then? Like, why does it matter? Do you know?
No, not necessarily. Do you have the answer to that question?
Oh, I do.
Then answer the question.
Oh, well, okay, so
know.
here's one thing that's important to know is whenever we travel, we always try to do Airbnb or VRBO because we want a kitchen. If we're staying there one night, like all we need to do is sleep and then head off, we'll do a hotel because that's always cheaper. But VRBO is vacation rentals by owner, vrbo.com. Airbnb is just air, bed, and breakfast. I think, right?
It's people's homes or bedrooms that they rent out on a daily or weekly basis.
Yeah, so the difference is Airbnb is more like a hotel where it's short term and sometimes it's a whole house, but oftentimes it's like a couch, a bedroom, a pull-out couch, a bunk bed. It's like one thing. My friend and I, we went to New York. The hotels were astronomical and we just needed a quick place to crash. So somebody had a bed and we shared a bed. And so it was way cheap. It was like $50 a piece, and we had a kitchen and stuff we could use. VRBO is you're renting the entire house and usually there's a 2 or 3 night minimum plus a cleaning fee. So it is more expensive. It is not the best for like one night or even 2 nights.
Maybe it is for a week though.
Yeah, but like for a week or something, you wouldn't want to do Airbnb for a week most likely because it's most likely not the entire house. Well, that's not necessarily true. But anyway, that's the difference. So go back to what you were saying about just
that's about it. I mean, on those things is fine. So maybe we can jump into Google Flights just for a minute.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not sponsored by Google. Somebody asked that. That would be awesome.
Oh heck yeah, Google! If you're listening,
call me.
Come pay us.
Yeah. Right. They don't need it. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about flights in general. I have a bunch of hacks and tips for finding cheap flights. But why don't you talk about?
Go to funcheaperfree.com where all their free content is /
I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, so there's an entire post that Jordan's done that has tons and tons of detail. There's no way we could cover it all here.
I'll list it. You say some tips for a second while I'm looking.
Yeah, so Google Flights. If you just Google Flights, it'll take you to something that's pretty incredible. It doesn't include all airlines, like Southwest isn't on there, and some of the small Allegiant Air, things like that aren't on there. But
it doesn't include Southwest, JetBlue, or local airlines like
some of the lower cost airlines, but it'll give you at least you can look at a calendar and say, okay, in the month of June, all the flights to Brazil cost X dollars, and it'll show you every day and the different prices for what it costs. So anyway, check out Google Flights. It's really given us a good idea of like, okay, if we're trying to plan a trip, We can try and see what the flights might cost.
Talk about how you don't even have to have your date set. You can move your mouse and it shows you like on the graph and stuff.
It's just the ease of use is amazing. You can look at the entire year or months at a time and find prices for flights anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So like you may have a week in mind, or you may just say like Bubba served his LDS mission in Brazil. We've never been back. And that's one of the places we want to go. But we probably wouldn't do a tour there. We'd probably just go back to his mission and kind of do our own thing. Any Brazilians in the house?
Yeah,
how do you pronounce that?
Vem pro Brasil!
Vem pro Brasil! So what we would probably just go on our own accord. And so what we would do then is we would just want to find the best flights and then find people to stay with or whatever, Airbnb or hotels. So what we did one day is we went to Google Flights and they have a world map. And you literally just like drag your mouse over the map and it pops up the price of basically, it's like, okay, it costs you about $1,100 to fly to Iceland. Oh, about $550 to go to Hawaii from where we are. And then what you can do is click on that country or that area and it shows you a graph, a bar graph, literally showing you what day or week of the year is cheapest. And Google has so much data that it forecasts and is extremely freakishly accurate. So one day I was hovering my mouse and I saw round trip tickets to Brazil for like $500, but they were for a month from then. And I was like, we should go to Brazil, but don't impulse buy. Which, anyway, here it is.
That's the rule of threes as well. We try to make big decisions with a 3-month window.
No, you guys, I can't see the pretty link because this isn't
not on mobile
optimized. Oh, maybe
flip it over.
It won't work. Okay, let me look at one more thing.
Okay, so some people are asking about...
Hold on, I was going to say a few things about flights. Let me try this last.
Some people are talking about Southwest credit card. I just wanted to give a quick...
funcheaperfree.com/flights. That's what it is. It's all the tips and tricks for finding the cheapest...
Alyssa, if you're on there, go ahead and throw it in the Instagram and YouTube.
The cheapest tips and hacks on flights. So you talk about what you're going to talk about, and I'm going to tell you some hacks that are going to blow your cabezas.
So people are talking about Southwest credit card, things like that. We just briefly talked about this earlier in this live Q&A. We don't believe in getting airline points on credit cards. We think a cash-based point system is a lot better way to go, just so you're not stuck only utilizing it for airlines. I just wanted to hit that again.
Southwest. We love Southwest and fly whenever we can, but you know what? When we do big trips, they haven't been the cheapest sometimes, but we have to factor in paying for bags. And let's move to some hacks about like packing and childcare. That was a big thing people are talking about. So we'll talk about flights and then we'll move to like...
Thanks guys for posting the link.
Logistics.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, if you guys think other people could really use some travel tips and secrets, go ahead and share this on social media and Facebook, or make sure to keep adding your own comments because we're learning a ton.
You're making me sweaty.
From you guys. What?
Your hands are like 800,000 degrees. I had to stop holding your hand because it was making my arms sweat. And this hand.
I'm just so hot.
Oh my gosh, you are. What happened to your cold hands?
They're warm now.
Oh man, you got them all fired up, guys. It's funny. Ooh, his hands are sexy though. Look at these hands. These are like as manly as hands can get. They're so hot. They're all like thick and rough and calloused. Anyway,
Why, thank you.
I couldn't do a man with like dainty Mr. Burns hands.
Hands were sexy.
They are. They're totally sexy. Okay, but really, you're making my knee sweat. So love you, but keep your man hands over there. Okay, here's some tips that are going to blow your mind. Number 1, fly on a Wednesday. It's the cheapest time to fly because, I mean, who needs to fly on a Wednesday? It's awkward. It throws off your week. But if you are at the point where you literally, every dollar counts, which it does for everybody, but Wednesday is your best bet. This is a random thing, but it's true. So most deals, like most sales, go up on Tuesdays and are taken down by Thursday. Because people aren't really shopping on Wednesdays anyway. So they say statistically, Tuesdays at 3:00 Eastern time is like the hot time to buy plane tickets. Take it for what it's worth. Okay, but who's the website that did it? Maybe it was Kayak. One of the big one, Orbitz or somebody that sells discounted flights. For an entire year, their system tracked every flight that came and went from their system for an entire 365 days. And they did a study on when flights went the cheapest. And it was 54 days before travel is when the flight hit its cheapest. For us, we used to think that if you book your flight like 6 months in advance or a year in advance that you'd get the best deal. That is actually incorrect. So now 54 days, we will literally put an alarm in our calendar, and statistically that's when you'll find the cheapest flights, 54 days before your trip. And then, or like within a window, anyway, I have more details on here and I linked to the article. Be flexible with dates. Oh my gosh, my battery. Be flexible with your dates. A lot of times you may have an exact date in mind, but if you look at a few days before, a few days after, they may be like several $100s different depending on how far you're flying. So it might be worth it to shorten your trip by a day or elongate your trip by a day or just shift it. And then, it sucks and it adds a couple hours of travel time, but if you don't get too set on direct flights, you can save a ton of money too. So we just, especially back in the day when money was so tight, it would be a long travel day, but it's not like we would lose much time on the trip anyway, and we would really just do the cheapest flight that had several connections to make or whatever. And then I think that's pretty much it. There is an app or a website that, what do they call it, where you flight jump, which I think you might get in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, is that not a good thing?
Yeah,
okay, I've never done it.
Airlines really don't like you to fly, to book a connecting, like
I would book, let's say I want to get to Chicago, but flights to Chicago are so expensive. So what I would do is book a flight to New York that lands in Chicago, and it's cheaper. So I'd actually just get off on Chicago and never finish to New York and save money. And there was an
Airlines
app.
don't like that.
Yeah, apparently. So it was great for a while. There's an app that does it, and people were saving a ton of money, but then airlines caught on to it, and now I think you can get in trouble doing it. So maybe don't do that.
Skip lagged.
Skip lag, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So there you go. There's some flight tips. My battery's about to die, so we might need to stall for a second while I exchange it. But hold on, let me... Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, but this is such good info.
So keep running with your questions, and if you guys have other tips too, this is really helpful.
Tell me your soda can tip.
So when you're on an airplane, and they ask you for your drink, they always give
what
you.
What would you like to drink, sir?
A little itty bitty glass.
You get like one sip.
And then they put like 4 ice cubes in, and then they dribble in some of your drink, right? And then you like take a sip, and then you're stuck with all ice and nothing else.
And it's like yucky airplane ice. It tastes like airplane
Who
air.
knows where they got it. But really, all you have to do is say, hey, could I get a can of Sprite, please? Or a can of...
Cran apple.
I
call it crapple.
Could I get a can of crapple, please? And if you ask for a can of, on most airlines, they're willing to give you a full can.
Yeah.
Some airlines might give you some hassle, but just ask for, hey, can I get a can of? And then, like, for me, I know Jordan loves her drinks icy cold, so she has to have ice. I don't get ice. But that's something different.
Yeah. So it saves them a little bit.
Sometimes, like our flight on Delta.
Pack your own snacks.
Yeah, definitely pack your own snacks. Just a Ziploc bag, and you toss in whatever snacks you want for the flights. Totally put it in your carry-on.
Yeah, Southwest is really good about
the tip is when you go through security system, take that Ziploc bag out. Don't let it stay in your backpack.
Does anyone remember the cruise debacle?
Crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about childcare. And as soon as my battery dies, we're going to stall and go off subject for a minute while I change the battery, but we have a minute. So, okay, childcare is the hardest part about travel. And in some cases, the most expensive. I'm going to throw that out there. I've seen some people ask how much we pay for overnight babysitters. I almost don't even want to go there because it's a very personal thing. So
different. And how many kids, what their ages are, where you live,
but
the experience of the babysitter.
I'll give a range. And the minimum that really I've heard of people paying for overnights is like $120 a day. You don't calculate per hour, I will say that much, because while they're sleeping, you don't necessarily pay per hour, but you do need to account for the fact that they're sleeping in your bed in a weird house instead of their own. So on up to like $200, even $250. There, it died. I'm going to hold that sentence and go grab my battery.
You better be fast. You better be fast. So I'm going to be up close and personal here as I'm grabbing the other camera and trying to get it out here. Okay, see, camera. Going to get this little battery out here. Okay, so let's see. We do travel all the time with our kids.
You can't talk about good stuff.
But just not as much on airplanes. Because as you probably know, airplanes are cray-cray when you got a whole bunch of little kids, and they're super expensive. So
that battery's not going to last very long either, so we might not be able to.
So sorry, Sorry, YouTube, you're going to hear some.
Okay, so sorry, on up to about $250 a day for overnight babysitting. It really just depends on where you live. So for us, honestly, you have to budget that in your trip budget. So for us, like for example, our cruise, we were gone for a week. We took 2 of our kids, so there were 3 left behind, and we paid $1,300 for babysitting for that week. It was a lot of money. So that's why the way that we afford to travel, and this is something we should have covered first, is we always save up the entire amount for the trip first before going. So like right now, we already know that our next big trip is going to be summer of 2019. So next summer, we already planned it with our friends. We know where we're going. We looked at a Gate 1 package. We know how much it's going to be. So we've started right now setting money aside for that. So you really need to do that. Don't just say, oh, let's go on a cruise, throw it on a credit card, and then try to figure out after and be way in over your head.
People are saying, are we going to do another Freebs vacation?
We did a group cruise. It was so fun. There were 83 Freebs that were on that cruise. And yes, I will not do a group cruise again, most likely because the cruise lines were a nightmare to work with.
But a group vacation, absolutely.
How do you guys feel about this? I've actually been looking at some all-inclusive resorts because they are way nice and family-friendly, so you can bring your kids. And it's a package deal that you know what you're getting into. It includes food and drink. So then it's not like, like Gate 1, you know what the package you're getting, but then you have to add another $1,000 on top of that for like food and other things usually. But this is nice because it's all inclusive. So I'm looking at really nice places like places in Mexico where the flights aren't
super expensive.
expensive.
People are asking about a video from the Freebs cruise.
I have it. It's not edited yet. But I will get it up very shortly. I was going to edit and put it up when I was going to announce the next trip.
Okay.
How about like fall? You guys want to go in the fall? Should we just do that?
Let's work on that. We need some of your feedback.
Okay, so we were talking about childcare. So it's very expensive. This last time, tell what we did. I think it worked the best that we've ever done.
I don't remember.
Flying your parents in, so we didn't do childcare.
For childcare. So our parents don't live in Utah, where we are. At least my parents.
Mine just moved here, but they're only here part-time.
So it made sense for us. We have not had them babysit our kids for a long time ever before. And they were willing, luckily, and patient enough to accept to come and babysit for us here in our home. We just offered to pay for their flights to get here. So we paid for their flights to get here to Utah, and then we set up everything in the home for them to be here with our kids.
Bought all the food. We even got them a babysitter one night so they could go out with their siblings who live in town.
Yeah.
We're going to send them a really nice, probably $100 worth of gift cards to a nice restaurant as a thank you. So there's some expense there.
But we felt like number one, it was a heck of a lot better to have the grandparents watching the kids than another babysitter. Mm-hmm. And I know not everybody has that option, but if you do, that might be something to think about.
How much were the flights?
But also, I think it was like a total of $300, $400 total.
Yeah.
But you also have to think about don't overuse your parents for stuff, right? Because you want to be able to respect their time. They've got a lot going on.
We almost never ask them to babysit.
Yeah.
So we
very rarely
save up our chips, and it's big when we do. So that is one thing. Is like when we go out on dates, we don't ask our parents to babysit, and so I think that makes them very willing to come for an entire 9 days and watch our kids, which is like a.
But then we also believe in staycations. We believe in sticking around close, and I mean here in Utah there are hundreds and hundreds of places we could go, and whether it's camping or whether it's staying at a local place, and you can find deals on local hotels or. And then we take our kids and we have a good time with the kids, and we love getting out of the house with our kids and having a good time.
What we try to do now, we'll talk about like the anxiety of leaving kids and some tips on traveling with them and without them. I actually have quite a few posts and videos and post series and all sorts of things on my blog under the category of travel. I have a 3-part post series on how to cruise. Well, I have a huge thing on Disneyland on the cheap. We won't even get into Disneyland, but I have everything you would ever need to know about Disneyland on the cheap, how much it costs, how much you should budget for, all the things. So that's funcheaperfree.com/Disneyland. And then if you, I don't know what the pretty link is or the short link, but if you go to my blog and search cruise, you'll see a 3-part post series on how to cruise with kids, how to travel for cheap. I have so much on my blog. But
funcheaperfree.com.
Yeah. So like talking about childcare, I forget what I was going to say, actually.
You want to make sure you've got a fairly experienced sitter, somebody who's dealt with whatever age group you have, and that they have handled a nighttime stay before. Preferably, you've already built a relationship with them, so that it's not just a vacation thing, that you already have a previous relationship. That's very important.
And
safety is key.
Here's one of the things, actually, that we have been more mindful of lately, is before we were super excited when we found someone that we loved the babysitter, and they were like, hey, can my husband come stay and help with babysit too? We were like, heck yeah, an extra set of hands. But then actually, as time has gone on, we've actually started feeling a little bit uncomfortable about that, because no matter how amazing a person is, you hear those stories of sex abuse, and it's not limited to men only. But I will say, when it comes to husband and wife, be mindful. Most kids are abused by people they know and family members. So that's why we felt most comfortable in this situation with doing whatever it costs to get our parents to babysit. And sometimes that's not an option. Trading is helpful. Yeah. Our friends that went on a cruise with us, she watched her sister's kids, so her nieces and nephews, for a week earlier in the summer, so that she could watch her kids when she went on a cruise in the fall.
If you can do a trade with family or friends, it's absolutely enormous. Totally huge. We also set up cameras inside the house. And so, cameras throughout different areas, and the people who come and watch our kids, they know that there are cameras and that we can check in and look anytime we want. Yeah. And so that's helpful also, I think, to keep things safe. Yeah.
So let's talk about like the courage of leaving kids and the anxiety and the things that'll happen. It's scary. It's really scary to let go of that control. So there's a few things that you need to do before that happens. Number one, you need to make sure your kids are well behaved. It's unfair and it is unreasonable to expect that if you have kids that are unruly, you can't even take them to a restaurant. You can't even take them to the grocery store without them throwing a fit. That they have a hard time with babysitters or daycare or school or nursery at church. They're not going to be any better with you being out of town. So start at square one. We made sure our children were very socialized and very comfortable with new people. They were very used to us being gone on date night and things. If you're with your kids 24/7 and then all of a sudden you're gone for a week, that could be really hard for a child. And it won't be easy on you, for sure. So
and we try to make sure that we're giving our kids attention, not just before and after trips all the time, but especially when you come home from trips, make sure to schedule time out of your day. Even though you're going to be crammed and busy, make sure you schedule time that you can spend specifically with each child, and that bringing that connection back after you've been gone for a few days is so critical. They really, really need that. I
agree. And one of the things we do is we try not to overdo it. We do one grown-up, kid-free big trip per year. We'll do like an overnight for our anniversary or whatever, and then we'll do a big...
But we never did that until financial system,
that is true. We did it once when we did a timeshare presentation and got a free hotel, and then somebody had a connection to a hotel and gave us a free night. But anyway, it wasn't, so our kid-free trip for the year is done. So now the trips that we do will be as a family, or we'll take the older kids. There are different levels and degrees of trips, and there's a difference between trip and vacation. Vacation is like sleeping in, drinking coconuts, like
beachy,
relaxing, whatever. And then there's a trip that's like hustle, it's expensive, we're going to get the most out of this, let's go, let's see all the things. And you come back way exhausted and super tired. But as a family, there are different degrees too, right? So there's something as simple as camping. Yeah. Some of the best traveling we do is camping that costs us next to nothing. Tent camping even is great. And then on up to staycations. We just did one at Christmas break. We found a good deal on a hotel.
You can do even house swaps with people. That we've heard of people doing a full-on house swap with other families.
Yeah. And then on up to a trip. We went on a cruise, and we did one 2 years ago and took our two boys. We did one this year and took our two oldest. And, are you telling me it's time? Okay. All right. It's just so many things to talk about.
You guys,
hold on. Let me finish this one thought and then we'll be done. Okay. And so there's a way that you can still, there are trips that we would not take our little kids on. Basically, like a cruise I wouldn't bring a baby on, And then there are things for the whole family, like Disneyland. So, you don't always have to do a huge trip where you leave all your kids behind if you don't feel comfortable with it.
So what's great, though, is to keep putting in your comments so that other people can learn from all of you. Everybody's got different experiences and really great tips. So keep commenting here when you're watching and share if you think other people would like it.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Funcheaperfree.com.
All free content.
Yeah. And like, where do you find your cruise deals? If you go to my cruise series, How to Cruise with Kids, I talk about all about how we found the good deal. I have a lot of travel tips on the blog, really. Nice. No need to repeat them here. But I hope that was helpful. I know we covered a lot of random things, but I want you guys to know, we want to leave you with this. If travel is important to you, don't ever say we can't afford it. Say,
how can we afford it?
How can we afford it? It may, like right now is February. We will not be doing our big couples trip again until summer of 2019. So sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you have to save up for a year and a half, or 2 years.
And budgetbootcamp.com can help you to get there a lot faster for sure. So definitely take a look.
Go look at my last blog post. It's funcheaperfree.com/get-out-of-debt. I believe it was the Rachel Ray episode I most recently did. Start there. It really will teach you how, if you have debt, how to pay it off fast, so then you can move on to fun things like travel. But if you have any credit card debt, ignore this entire video. Get out of debt first, and then the day will come.
And budgetbootcamp.com is the place to go for that. That's
yeah,
for sure.
And use the code Facebook, the code Instagram, or the code YouTube for 10% off. And if it doesn't save you at least what you paid for it, I'll give you every dime back, because I guarantee it.
Guys, we love you so much. We got to go and get some sleep and get off this jet lag.
What, do we have
lots
something
of love
in here we could use as a thumbnail that looks like travel?
That's our thumbnail.
No?
Okay.
Okay, you guys are the best.
Thanks a ton. Love
Later.
you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.